Max Brown and how he fits into this quarterback battle. And hey, look, let's get to hear from him, his sound of, just year one to year two, what he does well and where he can improve.
It's a lot different. Like you said, a lot of comfortability, getting in and being the second year, being in the program with Napier. I think that's really played a role coming into it, being more comfortable, making plays, being able to play fast, play my game. I think that's really the part I've played coming into it. I think that's really been the most important thing.
How would you describe your skill set? I know you said playing fast, but what are the strengths that you can bring to an offense?
Just being able to make all the throws on the field, being able to hurt a defense with my legs. I feel like that plays another role coming into it. Just being decisive, making plays, being a playmaker. Like I said, being able to throw the ball down the field, I think plays another big role. Just to keep showing people that I'm here to compete, man. That's what I love to do. I think, like I said, playing two sports has always been a competitive mindset of mine. I've always been competitive. That's how I've been raised. But I love to compete, no matter what. That's what I love to do. No matter what circumstance I'm in, I'm gonna compete, and I think that's what I really want to show.
What did you learn last year from a guy going through it for the first time, your starting quarterback, and Anthony?
Really, me just seeing a crazy freak athlete, man. I think that's what you see every day. You're like, oh shoot, I want to go make that play. I want to be able to show them that I can make that play. I think that's where me and Anna have similarities, but we also have differences. But I think that's what our similarities are too, making big plays. I think that's one of the things you want to see and try to imitate. I'm gonna go make a big play too. I see him make a big throw or a big run. Okay, I want to show I can do the same thing. I want to show that I can go try to do that, even if it's not in the cards. I mean, you want to try to learn and develop under a guy like that.
Was the starter against Jack and Graham? Do you think your athleticism, maybe not that they can't do some of those things, but your athleticism kind of sets you apart from them a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just part of my game. I think that's a game that you want to be able to use, and I think that's a big tool, especially in the SEC. Being able to run and use your legs, I think plays a big part. And those guys are athletes too, right? And I think going and making plays is something you need in your offense. I think that's another asset, another weapon that you could use. But yeah, I think so.
Is that hard to show in practice? Because you guys are non-contact. You don't have to wait maybe even until. You're not going to get hit in the scrimmages, but is it harder to show that athleticism and that playmaking ability when you're non-contact in practice? Yeah,
a little bit. But if you're a playmaker, you're gonna make a play. You're gonna make a play. So I think that's really what it comes down to. No matter if you're non-contact or not, if you're gonna go make a play, scramble, throw, run, extend the play, run for a long run for a first down, get out of bounds. I think you can show that regardless, non-contact or not. So,
where do you feel you've improved the most in this past year?
Really with probably my comfortability in the pocket and understanding and going through progressions, seeing reads, seeing defenses, seeing fronts. I think that's really been the biggest transition coming into college football is knowing fronts, knowing defenses, but just really getting comfortable with the offense and being able to play fast. When you play fast, be able to make plays. So.
All right, there we go. Hearing from Max Brown, Will, and probably the biggest takeaway and him making it sound like he's a big play waiting to happen. I like his confidence. He was really confident there in front of the microphone as well for the first time in front of the media, and maybe the most athletic out of the three here. And look at Napier's recent history. Levi Lewis, Anthony Richardson, quarterbacks that can also make plays with their legs. And I think Brown may be best in that regard, but does that give him a leg up? Even more so than Miller in this battle. He's known more as a passer, but he mentions a lot of how plays need to be made with legs at times. So interesting takeaway there about to me kind of the big play waiting to happen and the mobility part of the quarterback position.
Yeah, I think there are a couple things there. The confidence, not a surprise for somebody who'd go, yeah, I have an open competition for the quarterback position, but I'm going to go play baseball too. Take some stones to do that, right? Because you ostensibly are setting yourself back a little bit. And so you got to have confidence in yourself that you're going to be able to go out there and win the job. Because I don't imagine that Max Brown came here because he wants to be a coach. I think he came here because he wants to play. And so, if that's the case, then you have put yourself behind the 8 ball going to play baseball. So it requires quite a bit of confidence. And then the other thing is that, yes, his legs are a huge bonus in terms of what he can do, but he completed 71% of his balls in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not a guy who's just with a noodle arm, who's going to throw wide receiver screens and then run triple option out of the shotgun, stuff like that. Like, he will make plays with his feet when given the opportunity. He has the athletic ability to do that, but he can chuck the ball a little bit. And so one of the things I think you saw when I took a look at the high school tape, you saw sort of the same type of indecisiveness that you saw from Jack Miller in last year's spring game. And that, I think, is going to be the question, is who can overcome that quicker. I think there's a lot of benefit to Billy Napier figuring out what he's got in Max Brown this year. Now, maybe you figure that out against McNeese State. You don't figure that out against Utah. But I think there's an opportunity here to figure out what do you have, because the reality is, even if DJ Lagway comes in and is the immediate starter next year, you still want a guy like Max Brown as his backup, and you need to know what you have at that backup position. I think, Mertz has 2 years of eligibility. I think Miller has 2 or 3 years of eligibility, but if they've lost the competition and they're a backup, you sort of know the level of play you're getting is kind of like, I hope nothing happens to my starter, which is kind of what happened with Richardson last year. If you can gain a little bit more comfort, even if Brown doesn't start this year extensively, but if you get comfort that he can sort of raise the level overall compared to those other 2 guys, once he gets more experience in the system, then that sort of sets things up for success once Lagway comes in, assuming that Lagway wins the job. And obviously that's still a big assumption as well, though his profile suggests that he's probably going to get a shot.
Yeah, there's some interesting, like I said, that was the first thing I noticed in front of the mic. I was like, man, he doesn't sound nervous. It sounds like he's been in front of the mic before. He was very approachable there. So I kind of like his demeanor there in front of the media. But then, of course, mentions learning from Mertz and Miller later on. Those guys have been around a lot of football, how mature they are, how they prepare, and how they lead by being a competitor. And that's what all 3 of these guys need in the next couple of weeks. Didn't expect, a surefire answer of Florida's quarterback competition / battle, however you want to name it, to be made by the first scrimmage. So, Will, I know many out there like Max Brown. I see it in the comments there. I've seen it on social media. You've done a great job illustrating, why that's the case. But it'd be a crazy storyline if game 1 Utah and you bring Graham Mertz in, you have an incumbent in Jack Miller, and somehow Max Brown is your starting quarterback.
Well, I would be very surprised if he's the starting quarterback at Salt Lake City. I don't think that fits sort of the profile. And look, I think Billy Napier went from 7-7 to 10-3 at Louisiana from first year to second year. And I think a lot of that was tied to just general improvement from year 1 to year 2.
Right.
And I suspect he's going to rely on a lot of that for this year for Florida as well. Is he looking for a major upgrade at the quarterback position? Look, I think obviously if Brown comes out and is the clear front runner, he'll play him, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if it's close, I think you probably say, look, I'm going to bring in the guys who have the experience to play that first game in Salt Lake City. And if it's clear that Brown wins the number 1 spot, well, heck, we'll find out about that probably first week of fall camp or something like that, because you'd want to get him as many reps as you possibly could heading into whatever game you're going to be going into. So I think there's an opportunity to sort of find that out early if Brown's going to be the starter. The more this battle sort of rages on throughout fall camp, the more it leans towards Mertz, just because that opening game, you're going to want the guy with 30 games of experience if in fact it's close. Yeah. And so if it's not close, you're going to name that guy early, give him as many reps as you can, and sort of go. So I hope he gets an opportunity. I'm interested to see what he can do. I think he's a high variance candidate, but at the same time, I think his legs make his floor much higher than you might think of. Like, I don't think, he could go out and be, QB rating like 110, 120 and still be an effective player because he's able to run around and make plays. That's not the case with Mertz. If Mertz ends up with a QB rating of 120 or 130, we're going to be sitting there going, geez, we're not getting a whole lot out of the Graham Mertz experiment. So in many ways, I think just knowing what you have.
Want more Gators Breakdown? Join Gators Breakdown Plus. Starting at $3 a month. Get access to unique episodes, plus a blog, chat room, giveaways, shout-outs, and more. Gators Breakdown Plus is furthering the interaction with fans and listeners like you. Head to gatorsbreakdown.supportingcast.fm to join Gators Breakdown Plus today.